where Mr. Jamie McIntoch, he provided oversight to $350 million of a global portfolio for humanitarian and development and advocacy initiatives. He serves in multiple senior programmatic, operational, and resourcing committees for the World Vision of International. Mr. McIntoch, prior to joining the World Vision Canada, Jamie served as the founder and executive director of International Justice Mission Canada, a human rights organization dedicated to securing justice for victims of violence and exploitation overseas. He's educated in Canada and US and UK. Jamie holds a Master of Studies, a degree in International Human Rights Law from University of Oxford. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Jamie McIntoch to talk to us a little.
Well, good afternoon. I understand that lunch is being served, so please, bon appetit, enjoy. I want you to be well nourished and fed and strengthened as I share for a few moments with you this afternoon. It really is, it's an honor for me to be here standing with you all. I'm so grateful for the critical work and the credible work of AWESSM. I love that acronym. I love the way that that's pronounced, awesome. I do think that that's very fitting given the critical nature of the response to these crisis needs in Syria. With about 13.5 million people, that's stories that we have heard, just a few in these recent few moments, replicated again and again and again in their own way, 13.5 million. People needing humanitarian assistance. We know that the Syrian crisis is the world's largest and most urgent humanitarian crisis of our time. With this heart-wrenching, this certainly is heart-wrenching to think about the long-term repercussions on about 6 million children, being at risk of being lost to the conflict, their futures compromised, their security, their safety, their mental health, all at risk, all in peril. And we in the international community must rush in to stand together with those local partners in civil society that are standing up to help. Well, it does sadden all of us that as we meet today, the suffering in Syria continues to worsen. We can be comforted that there are those, so many here and across this country and around the world, who are rallying support, making a choice to contribute to the alleviation of the populations affected. Indeed, amidst the carnage and chaos in Syria, a glimmer of hope. I'm, as a Canadian, proud that our government has given generously by committing almost $1 billion to the various international efforts to support the Syrian people, including those living as refugees in neighboring countries. I had the privilege to visit some of them in Lebanon recently. Since 2011, World Vision has been responding to the needs of displaced children and families in and around Syria, starting first through our existing presence in vulnerable communities across Lebanon. While our work in Syria covers the gamut of interventions, water, sanitation, and hygiene, nutrition, education, and livelihoods interventions, let's this afternoon focus on the work in the area of health, including our partnership that we're so grateful to have entered into with AWESSM Canada. Let's start first by recalling a little bit of the health context in Syria, followed by some examples of our health interventions. So before the current crisis, you all know Syria had a well-functioning public health system and was a supplier of pharmaceuticals to the region. But with the conflict, hospitals operate not only under severe human and material resource constraints, but compounding this exponentially is the increasing and unconscionable attacks on healthcare facilities and health workers. With half of the doctors fleeing Syria, the caseload ratio is 1 doctor per 6,000 people. As a result, Syrians face diminished access to quality health care, lack of qualified medical personnel, and a severely disrupted pharmaceutical supply chain. According to the 2016 Syrian Arab Republic Humanitarian Needs Overview, 11.5 million people in Syria are in urgent need, specifically of health assistance, with priority needs existing, as was mentioned, for traumatic injuries, communicable and non-communicable diseases, and care for reproductive health, mental health, and child health concerns rising to the top. Maternal, newborn, and child health and nutrition services have collapsed, leaving 3.16 million children under 5 and pregnant and lactating women at risk. An estimated 300,000 women are pregnant and in need of health care services, and of these, approximately 45,000 women are at risk of complications, even up to death. World Vision Syria Crisis Response operates in Syria, Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, and Turkey. And since 2011, we've assisted approximately 2.37 million refugees, internally displaced people, and vulnerable host community members. In 2015 alone, we were able to mobilize over $100 million to assist approximately 1.1 million people in the region, including 630,000 vulnerable children. A few of these partnerships, we're working with Hand in Hand in northern Syria, where we've been operating with them since November 2013. On the screen are a few photos of our work in the area. And in partnership with Hand in Hand, this includes the construction of a new health facility for Atma Women's and Children's Hospital, stocked with the medical and non-medical equipment it needs to provide reproductive, maternal, and child health services. With the additional space, the hospital will have the capacity to become the first newborn ICU in opposition-controlled northern Syria. With support from the Canadian government, we are also providing the running costs to support this hospital. And it's through the dedication, sacrifice, and passion of Syrian doctors, nurses, and other professionals who ensure that these essential health services are able to be provided. World Vision is also in partnership with Syria Relief, a member of UOSSM, in northern Syria, providing critical access to child-friendly spaces for more than 4,000 children and response services for women who've experienced gender-based violence. By 2015, World Vision Canada provided child protection, food, emergency items, water and sanitation, and health support to over 220,000 people in northern Syria, including 127,000 children. World Vision is most heartened by a recent partnership with UOSSM in southern Syria, where in partnership with a major donor from the United States, we're now supporting 3 static and 1 mobile clinics in northern Dara, directly benefiting tens of thousands of residents. An integrated package of services for beneficiaries that we're providing together include outpatient services, reproductive health, malnutrition screening and management, mental health, and psychosocial support. UOSSM will be adding in and leveraging this with key services in each clinic in mental health, outreach, immunizations, and a comprehensive referral system linked to other facilities. This is a great partnership that's begun, and you'll see some images of some of the work being done in the region through these types of partnerships. The World Vision is tremendously encouraged by the rise of Syrian NGOs with the professionalism, passion, and dedication demonstrated in impartial humanitarian assistance to your own nation. From a situation 6 years ago where civil society was devastated in Syria, Syrian NGOs have demonstrated great resilience in developing into large, highly professional organizations with extremely committed, devoted staff. We recognize and honor the many Syrian humanitarian workers who have given their lives providing humanitarian assistance to the Syrian people and grieve deeply at the loss of life, including the recent loss of 3 AWSM staff killed in both your hospitals in Aleppo. These sacrifices do not go unnoticed. They should not go unhonored. These situations actually should emblazon in our hearts and our minds this critical call to action that the international community must provide protection, must provide security and accountability for these reprehensible attacks on those who are providing assistance in harm's way. The scale of need inside Syria is massive, far beyond what any one of our organizations can meet, and even all of us working together are struggling to keep up to this demand. We do need to do more, but both international and Syrian NGOs, we have to be careful that we don't allow our focus to be diverted from building up the organizational capacity, equipping our staff, and ensuring that we have the systems in place to manage aid delivery at the highest standards. All too often, good NGOs have had their reputations and programming damaged because they focus too much on winning funding and not as much on quality aid delivery. We must not allow that to happen. Traditional coordination, funding, and humanitarian protection mechanisms are insufficient to meet the current challenges. The traditional division between INGOs and local NGOs is becoming less and less relevant as Syrian NGOs grow to take their rightful place. What is imperative is that we speak together with one voice to press the UN and the international system to improve and change the aid architecture for Syria. The current Whole of Syria review is a good opportunity to push these issues, but we need to be organized and coherent if our voice is to be heard. And we need to consistently hold the international community accountable for finding a political solution to this crisis so that the suffering of people in Syria can end. We are humanitarians, not politicians. We plead and press for the international community to exert all efforts to secure a diplomatic, just, and peaceful resolution so that this untenable state of affairs comes to an end. We owe it to the children and other populations suffering in harm's way. We're glad to see the development of AWSM establishing a presence in Amman. We think this is a critical step to give AWSM a seat at the table in influencing the aid system for southern Syria and the emerging whole of Syria aid structure. We encourage our partners to always be open and honest with us. Tell us what we can do better. We need to learn from Syrian NGOs how to work in this difficult and increasingly complex context. We hope that we can also offer some of our experience gleaned over 6 decades of operating in other contexts. Without the support of the Canadian government and concerned Canadians across this country, we couldn't do the important life-saving humanitarian work that together we do. The people of Syria and the children of Syria deserve our attention, our support, and our resolute focus to alleviating their suffering and doing everything in our power to help put an end to this war and ensure that a whole generation of Syrian children are not lost, but restored to lives of dignity, childhoods of safety, and futures brimming with opportunity, peace, and hope. I'm grateful to stand together with you. I know that some of you volunteer your own time to go over and put yourselves in harm's way, or you stand in solidarity with others who are really risking their lives to intervene. This is a critical initiative. It's fundamental, and the dignity and the rights of those suffering in these contexts is so critical that we must demand their defense, stand together with them, and we at World Vision Canada are offering everything that we can do to stand in solidarity with you, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you so much for this opportunity. God bless.